Hello everyone, and thank you all so much for coming to my session today. My name is Jean, and it's an honor to be able to host these sessions for you all. So this week, we are going to be talking about the topic of remembering your purpose. So throughout my Mindful Moments sessions, a big kind of overarching themes are the qualities of mindfulness. So there aren't specific qualities of mindfulness that I intended to cover with remembering a purpose, but maybe think about some of the qualities that might relate to what we're going to talk about today. So, purpose, what is purpose? Purpose is what you aspire. It gives you a vision of your best possible future and pulls you toward it, infusing your life with meaning and also aligning your everyday choices with something that's maybe bigger than yourself. And when these big decisions arise, your purpose acts as your internal compass, which is why I have a picture of a compass there, and it guides you. And mindfulness, the other part, is the mechanism that helps you check in with your emotions, thoughts, and feelings about possible resolutions to whatever problems you encounter in your life, so that you um, you don't fall off of track as like widely as you would without a purpose. So we're going to do an exercise. So first, close your eyes and settle your mind and body and see yourself 5 years from now. What are you doing? Are you serving others? And what matters most to you in this particular scene? So draw out as much details as you can, whether it be sounds, details, or people. All right, so I'm going to share what I envision my ideal life to be. 5 years from now, I would be attending college, and hopefully I would be attending one of my ideal colleges, or just being a good learner, a student, a friend, and a daughter. And what matters most to me is that I'm taking advantage of my opportunities, and I imagine myself serving others. Um, Particularly maybe something related to what I'm doing now with these mindfulness sessions. And also, what matters to me is that I am a good person, genuinely. And so, those are some of my thoughts. So, maybe if you haven't finished, maybe you can do this exercise sometime when you find some time. It's a very good exercise to kind of get an idea of what you want your purpose to be. All right. So we're going to go through some tips of how to find your purpose, or how to develop a better purpose, or whatever, relating with remembering your purpose. So to start with, we want to think about our strengths and our values. So our strengths are something that we do when we feel the most energetic and alive. And generally, we have the capacity and a lower kind of activation energy to overcome any obstacles that are related with those strengths. And values serve as guideposts. So it guides you to maybe make a certain decision or think about a situation in a certain way. So here's another little exercise. Think about 3 people you really admire. Imagine seeing them and how they act, and what qualities do you admire the most from this person? All right. So, this could also be an exercise that you might think about doing when you have time, just when you're thinking about maybe finding a specific purpose that you would like. So, the next tip is to ask questions. So, you want to get still because that to settle your mind and you'll be able to think more clearly and ask yourself these questions. What is most essential to me? Maybe right now, but try to think about in terms of the future. Maybe think about like the exercise that we just did. Um, who do I want to be in 5 years? And what makes me feel most alive? So that kind of ties to your strengths. And what do I care most about? And this kind of ties to our values. And a good practice is to write down whatever comes to mind, maybe in a journal. Um, but for now, since we might not have a pen and paper next to us, we'll just think about it. Think about these questions. All right, so for what is most essential to me, I'll share that. I think that this may be pretty common. I think this is pretty general, is that what's most essential is that in the future, what's most essential for me is that I have few regrets. Obviously, there's going to be some regrets, but I want to minimize those as much as possible, and that I'm doing in my daily life what makes me happy and what benefits me and doesn't hurt anybody else. So the final tip is to share it with others. So maybe like for me right now, I'm sharing it with you all, but maybe when you're having conversation with one of your friends, family members, or even teachers, feel free, as if you trust the person or are comfortable talking with that person, to share your purpose, because there is a bit power in a public declaration. It will kind of remind yourself that you've already told someone, and it will keep you more committed to carrying out your purpose. And also, those who witness your declaration can also support and encourage you along the way, because now they know that you really want this specific thing. So now we're going to transition to our mindful practice. But before we do that, we're going to take 3 deep breaths to prepare us. So breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. All right. Enjoy. Sorry about that. An ad just came up, and since I'm using Spotify for these meditation practices, so now that we finished our mindful practice, we will transition to our discussion section. So, thinking about these questions: what is your purpose? Why is it important to have a purpose? And how are you carrying out your purpose? So, what is my purpose? Right now, my purpose is to learn how to develop and be good, have a good character, and also be a good student, so that I can be more educated. And just like also not just being educated, but also the person side of developing a better personality, better characteristics. And why is it important to have a purpose? So remember how we talked about our purpose acting like a compass? Well, the trouble is it is easy to lose sight of your compass in the daily hustle. When for I think somewhere I read that most of the decisions that we make during the day are unconscious decisions. So we go on autopilot, and then we get things done, but then we forget why we're doing these things. So this is why a purpose is so important, because a purpose can act as a compass, and it can basically guide our decisions so that we make more conscious decisions that will better us in the long term instead of just in the short term. So, how am I carrying out my purpose? Well, I think on these mindfulness sessions, I think I've grown a lot since starting these. I have learned a lot from reading more articles about mindfulness in order to prepare for these sessions. I am also carrying out my purpose by continually to being a student, and um, carrying out my purpose of having good plans, good planning. That's very important in order to like carry out your purpose and have some sort of structure. On the terms of improving myself as a person, I think also with these mindfulness sessions, I've been able to reflect more on my actions and also kind of try to develop myself as a better person. So we're going to end the session with a quote that relates to what we were talking about this week. The mind is just like water. When it's agitated, it's difficult to see what lies underneath, like the surface. But when it's settled, the answers surface. And then the purpose of life becomes clear. So, this quote emphasizes the importance of having a calm mind and being mindful, because otherwise, it will be really difficult for us to really reflect or kind of find that purpose that we really want to strive for. So, One benefit of thinking about our purpose during the session is that we may be more calm, especially if you come here, especially to practice mindfulness. Your body is already preparing for that calm and mindful state, and so it's easier to think about your purpose, think about some purposes that you might have, which may be more difficult, for example, when you're in a loud or noisy place and your thoughts are kind of everywhere. But of course, the ultimate goal is to be able to achieve an inner state of peace so that the external factors don't impact you as much. That's one of the goals of mindfulness, in my opinion. All right, so thank you all so much for coming and joining me today for this week's Mindful Moments session. And a source that I wanted to mention was the National Geographic Mindfulness issue. Some of the content in this presentation or these slides were inspired or taken from this magazine. So thank you all so much for coming, and feel free to leave any questions in the comments below. Feel free to give me any feedback. I'd always appreciate it. And I hope you all have a mindful week ahead of you.